For the family, it's tragic for the people of Leeton, it's tragic for the people of New South Wales and society in general.
She'd understand everything. If you had problems at home, had problems anywhere, you could just speak to her about it. She was amazing. Just want to thank her heaps for everything she's done for us, and we're still praying for her.
She was just such a lovely, vibrant person that fitted in with everyone and everything, and she was well loved by the teachers, the students, and everyone that virtually met her.
Family and
In this true crime documentary, we unravel the heartbreaking and deeply disturbing case of Stephanie Scott, a woman loved not just by her family, but by her entire community. Her death wasn't just a tragedy. It was a wound that spread through Leeton, through New South Wales, and through everyone who ever crossed her path. Stephanie wasn't the kind of person you just knew. She was someone you felt. Gentle, warm, and understanding in a way that made people feel safe. If you were struggling at home, fighting a silent battle, or drowning under the weight of life, Stephanie was the kind of person you could open your heart to. She listened. She cared. She showed people a kindness that the world so often forgets to give. But behind that kindness, behind her smile, was a darkness closing in, one that no one saw coming. They spoke about Stephanie with a trembling gratitude. We just want to thank her for everything she's done for us. We're still praying for her. To those who knew her, Stephanie wasn't just a colleague or a friend. She was a bright pulse of energy, the kind of vibrant, gentle soul who fits seamlessly into any room, any conversation, any heart. Teachers adored her. Students trusted her. And anyone who met her, even for a moment, walked away feeling lighter. But now, the same family and friends who had traveled from overseas to celebrate her upcoming wedding were forced into an unthinkable task, arranging her funeral instead. A celebration of love turned into a nightmare of loss.
Our story today takes us to the quiet rural town of Leeton, tucked deep within New South Wales, Australia. It's a still and peaceful place, resting in the heart of the Riverina, an agricultural region that feeds the country but rarely finds itself in headlines. Leeton isn't a tourist destination. It isn't loud, crowded, or chaotic. It's the kind of town where everyone knows everyone. Names, faces, families, stories. A place where safety isn't just an idea, it's a way of life. Within this close-knit community lived Stephanie Scott, a 26-year-old woman whose future glowed with promise. At home, she wasn't Stephanie at all. Her parents had a more tender name for her, Button Nose, a nickname that belonged only to the walls of their home and the hearts that loved her most. Outside, she was Miss Scott, the English and drama teacher at Leeton High School. She was the kind of educator students never forgot, the one who made learning feel safe, who made teenagers feel seen. She laughed easily, cared deeply, and hated the sight of sadness on anyone, teacher or student. To the young people she taught, she wasn't just a teacher. She was a second mother, a guide, a friend. And in a town as small as Leeton, a person like Stephanie wasn't just loved, she was irreplaceable. When Stephanie was once asked, "What makes you happiest?" she didn't hesitate. She smiled softly and said, "Watching one of my students succeed. That's the purpose of my life." And everyone who knew her believed it. Her students adored her. Her colleagues respected her. She walked the halls of Leeton High School like a quiet source of light, steady, comforting, irreplaceable. Stephanie didn't date much. She was selective, private, the kind of woman who believed in gentle, lasting love rather than passing moments. But there was one person who had always been close to her heart, Aaron, her childhood friend. They grew up side by side, sharing birthdays, secrets, dreams. And on Aaron's 21st birthday, he did something that changed both of their lives. He asked her to be his girlfriend, something she had secretly wished for but never dared to say aloud, afraid it might break the friendship that meant everything to her. But that day they realized something beautiful. Their friendship had already become love long before either of them knew it. By April 2015, Stephanie was living her dream. She was preparing for her wedding to Aaron, the boy she grew up with, the man she adored. She poured her heart into every detail, wanting the ceremony to be perfect. Invitations were already sent, guests were flying in from England and New Zealand, where her family roots stretched back generations. But on Sunday, April 5th, just 6 days before her wedding, Stephanie made a decision that would change everything. It was Easter break, the town was quiet, the school was empty, but Stephanie wanted to finish writing the handover notes for the teacher who would cover her classes during her 15-day honeymoon.
Aaron was with her that morning. He begged her not to go. There was a family gathering happening in a nearby town, and he wanted her by his side. But Stephanie, ever responsible, insisted. "It won't take long," she said. She smiled, reassured him, and left. By 11 a.m., she was already inside the school. She messaged Aaron continuously, sweet, casual, normal, until 1:40 p.m. And then, everything stopped. Her replies vanished. Her phone went silent, and all of Aaron's messages turned green. At first, he didn't panic. She had been exhausted from wedding planning. Maybe she just needed a nap. Maybe her phone had died. Maybe she was distracted with work. He told himself not to worry. But within hours, worry would turn into fear, and fear into a nightmare that the quiet town of Leeton would never forget. After the gathering ended, Aaron returned home, expecting to find a message from Stephanie. Something simple, something reassuring. But there was nothing. When he called her phone, it was still off. No ring, no vibration, just silence. He tried to calm himself again, telling his heart not to jump to conclusions. But by the next day, when the clock hit 4 p.m. and there was still no sign of her, the silence became unbearable. That was when he finally contacted her family, and that was when the police were notified. Investigators moved quickly. They learned that the last person to see Stephanie was Aaron, and that she had gone to the school on Sunday morning. So they went there immediately. But the staff told them something strange. On that day, there were only a few cleaners on site, and none of them saw Stephanie at all. Meanwhile, investigators brought Aaron in for questioning. They grilled him for hours. But from the moment he sat in that chair, it was obvious that he was not acting. His heartbreak was raw, visible, uncontrollable. His voice shook. His hands trembled. His eyes were hollow. It wasn't the fear of a man caught. It was the agony of a man losing the person he loved most in the world. But there was also something vital. Aaron had a solid, verifiable alibi. And by the end of the interrogation, detectives agreed on one thing. Aaron was not their suspect.
The next morning, the search exploded. Ground teams combed fields, ditches, and riverbanks. Helicopters scanned the quiet town from above. Volunteers held posters calling Stephanie's name into the wind. But the thing that truly shook the entire region was a single Facebook post, one that went viral in a matter of hours, shared more than 1,600 times. As the post spread, the town began to panic. And inside Leeton High School, word spread like wildfire. Stephanie Scott was missing. That changed everything. News crews arrived. One reporter, Erin Willing, stood outside the school in the evening light, her voice cutting through the tension. "Pete, police did not only return here today, they never left. They are still at the school. They're using digital mapping technology to coordinate a full search of the grounds, including the exact room Stephanie was working in the day she disappeared." That same afternoon, a teacher came forward with a crucial piece of information. She told police that she and Stephanie were at the school together that Sunday. She had picked Stephanie up from her home and both entered the building around 11 a.m. The teacher then left at around 1 p.m., while Stephanie stayed a bit longer. But that raised a chilling question. If she was definitely inside the school, why did no one else see her? And where did she go after 1:40 p.m.? Later that day, another staff member approached investigators with something that would turn the entire case upside down. Investigators went back through every statement they collected during their first visit to the school, and that's when the entire case shifted. The first red flag was small, almost forgettable, but it changed everything. There was supposed to be only one cleaner on duty, yet another cleaner had shown up that day, even though it wasn't his shift. Even stranger, he was the one taking out the trash bins. It was a detail that police could no longer overlook, especially when a supervisor quietly stepped forward with something even more disturbing. She had seen Stephanie's red Mazda parked outside the school earlier, but after 2 p.m., the car was suddenly gone. And then she mentioned something that sent a chill through the room. She remembered hearing a heavy thud, like someone dragging something across the ground. With that revelation, investigators were now certain the school wasn't just part of the timeline, it was the beginning of the nightmare. They immediately began tracing the cleaner who wasn't supposed to be there. During his first interview, he claimed he never saw Stephanie and said he left at 3 p.m. to go to a supermarket. So detectives went straight to the supermarket to verify his story. But surveillance revealed something shocking. He never showed up at all. Now convinced that this man was hiding something, investigators dug into school records and identified him as Vincent Stanford, a 24-year-old cleaner. Officers went to his home for a proper interview. His mother allowed them inside, and that was all they needed. In the house, they found a set of keys with a red and white key holder, the exact description of the keys Stephanie always carried. As they were collecting evidence, Vincent suddenly walked in through the door. Police immediately seized his vehicle, and inside, they discovered MDF boards soaked in what looked like blood. Outside, officers noticed tire marks in the dirt, marks that didn't match Vincent's car at all. And then came the final disturbing detail. On the ground outside, they found a used condom, while its wrapper was later discovered in Vincent's bedroom. When investigators asked Vincent where he had been that day, he casually claimed he was out taking photographs. He pointed toward a camera sitting openly on the front seat of his car, as if he had nothing to hide. The detectives asked if they could take a look, and he simply shrugged, "Sure." But the moment they powered it on, the room seemed to freeze. The very first image displayed on the screen was not scenery. It wasn't a landscape. It was the burned body of a woman, dumped in a remote wooded area. A sight so brutal that even seasoned officers went silent. Vincent laughed it off and said the photos were from a movie, that he took them because he thought they looked funny. But the police didn't need a second look. They knew exactly what they were staring at. It was Stephanie. Within minutes, Vincent Sanford was placed under arrest in connection with her disappearance, and now her likely murder. News spread like wildfire. Police have arrested 24-year-old high school cleaner Vincent Sanford. "I was horrified," one community member said. "You just can't comprehend something like this." Stephanie's car was later found abandoned in a paddock, about 8 to 12 kilometers from where she was last seen, but her body still missing. The grief hit the community like a shockwave. It's tragic for the family, tragic for the people of Leeton, tragic for New South Wales and society in general, officials said. At the police station, Vincent refused to speak. He shut down, asked for a lawyer, and sat in silence. But investigators knew something. A man who photographs the burned body of his victim always leaves more behind. In his devices, in his habits, in his secrets. And they were right. But they weren't prepared for what came next. When forensic analysts opened Vincent's phone and laptop, they found hundreds of disturbing images of underage girls, some students from Leeton High, others taken from the internet, all containing graphic and violent themes. There were also photos of local women he had secretly followed around town, watching them, stalking them, storing their images like trophies. And the deeper investigators dug, the darker the abyss became. Then on April 10, 2015, 5 days after Stephanie vanished, a new witness walked into the station. He claimed he had seen a vehicle parked near a water.
Just before 4 p.m. on Easter Sunday, a man reported seeing a suspicious vehicle near the canal, the same area being searched for clues. He told investigators he saw a man step out, look around nervously, and then hurl what looked like a laptop into the water before speeding away. Police divers moved in immediately, and within minutes the device was recovered. It was confirmed to be Stephanie's laptop, yet another sign that something terrible had happened. Police divers have joined the search for the body of murdered bride-to-be, Stephanie Scott. News reporters filled the small town as the search intensified. Natalia Cooper stood outside Leeton High School, her voice heavy with emotion, as she explained how the fields, vineyards, and waterways near where Stephanie's red Mazda was found were being combed inch by inch. Behind her, a small shrine of candles, flowers, and handwritten notes had begun to grow, a heartbreaking symbol of a community shattered. People came quietly, many in tears, some who knew her deeply, others who had never met her but felt the weight of the tragedy all the same. Stephanie's family and her fiancé, Aaron, arrived the night before. They lit candles, they read the tributes, they held each other and sobbed for the future that had been stolen from them. Then, later that same day, one day before her wedding, came the discovery that confirmed everyone's worst fears. After hours of searching an isolated area nearly 60 miles from the school, officers found a burned body in a remote section of Cocopara National Park. It was Stephanie. She had been struck on the head more than 40 times. The cause of death was catastrophic trauma to the skull. She had also been stabbed in the neck before being dumped, soaked in fuel, and set on fire, confirming that the horrific images on Vincent's camera were real. As investigators sent her remains to the forensic lab, something unexpected happened at the station. Vincent, silent until now, cold and expressionless, suddenly sent a message. He wanted to talk. He claimed he was ready to lead police to Stephanie's body, even though they had already found it. Vincent had no idea that police had already found Stephanie's body when he asked to talk. He believed he still held the final piece of the puzzle, the location, unaware that detectives now wanted something far more important, the truth of what he had done. Inside the interrogation room, the air was heavy, silent, waiting. When asked where he first saw Stephanie that day, Vincent spoke calmly, almost mechanically. She was in the staff room upstairs, for the English, drama, math teacher. What was she doing? She was working on a computer. The detectives pressed further. Was the door open? Did she see him? Did he speak to her? Vincent replied with chilling emptiness. The door was open. He walked by. She probably saw him. No words were exchanged. Then came the question investigators had been waiting for. On Wednesday night, we asked you about the scratches on your face. Can you tell me again where you got those scratches? He didn't hesitate. From Stephanie Scott. How did she do that?
With her fingernails. And when did this happen? When I tried to kill her. When I killed her. The room stopped. Even seasoned detectives felt the weight of those words. Vincent continued, describing the moment he waited for her to finish her work, not because he cared, but because he needed the hallway empty. He needed privacy for what he planned. When she finished, I grabbed her from behind, my right hand over her mouth, my left around her middle. I dragged her into Luke's storeroom, closed the door, threw her on the floor. Then I beat her to death. You used your fists? Yes. Any other weapon? A knife. His tone never changed, no remorse, no hesitation, no emotion. Then the detectives pressed him on something deeper. You said you had a feeling you had to do it. What feeling? Can you describe it? What came over you when you saw her? Vincent paused, not to think, but as if searching for the right words to describe something twisted and familiar. That I had to kill her, he said. I've had a lot of violent thoughts, but I've never acted on them until then. The detectives leaned in, their voices steady, even as the horror deepened. They asked Vincent to explain the violent thoughts he claimed to have lived with for years. He answered without hesitation. Killing various people I've met. That's about it, really. Why? Did you want to hurt them? Did they do something to you? No. I think I might have some mental problems, but none of them ever did anything to deserve it. Then came the most crucial question. Why did you get angry at Stephanie? Why did you want to kill her? Vincent didn't blink. I didn't really feel anger. I just wanted to kill her. So you weren't angry? No. You just wanted to kill her? Yes. The room fell silent for a moment. Even the detectives struggled to understand the soulless calm with which he explained his motives, or lack thereof. Can you tell me why you wanted to kill her? No. I think my mental health was acting up again. From there, the interrogation moved into the darkest details. What he did with Stephanie's body after the attack. The detectives asked carefully, clinically, when you took her out of the boot, did you remove her clothes in the car or on the ground? On the ground. They pressed on. Her face had severe injuries. Did you notice swelling? Yes, the right side of her face, up near the eye. That was from when you punched her while she was on the ground. Yes. He described how he set the fire with disturbing precision. He didn't use matches directly. Instead, he soaked a stick in petrol, lit a match to the stick, and dropped it beside her body. He didn't even remember where the match ended up. He didn't care. Did you stay to watch the body burn? Asked the detective. No, I left straight away. Petrol starts fast. Then came the question that revealed the deepest level of depravity. On your camera, there were 2 photographs of the deceased body. Are those photographs of Stephanie? Yes. Why did you take those photographs? I don't know. The detectives moved to the evidence they found at his house, a washed bra belonging to Stephanie. Why did you keep the bra, Vincent? You disposed of everything else. He looked down, expression unchanged. Maybe I wanted a souvenir, something to remember it by, but I had no real reason to keep it. Why the bra? Why not anything else? I think it was clean. Did you wash it? Yeah, I chucked it in the wash once. At home or at school? At home. And her earrings, her engagement ring? I don't know. I might have taken them off earlier. Vincent's confessions, or attempts at them, revealed chilling details, but even as he spoke, he tried to distance himself from the most depraved acts. "When did you take those off?" detectives asked, referring to Stephanie's engagement ring. "Probably when I was at home with her. And no, when I collected all her stuff at the high school. Not her earrings, though." "You remember taking that ring?" "Yeah." "Where did you put it?" "Don't know. Chucked so much stuff out." "Did you get rid of it with the clothes?" "I would have chucked it in a bin somewhere when I chucked everything else out." Despite his attempts to minimize the truth, detectives saw through his lies. Vincent Stanford was charged not only with murder, but with aggravated sexual assault and causing actual bodily harm once his interrogation was made public. The community was stunned. People struggled to comprehend who this man really was, the person who destroyed the life of a young bride just days before her wedding. Vincent's background painted an equally disturbing picture. Born in Australia, he moved with his family to the Netherlands at age 3, only to return years later to New South Wales. From an early age, he admitted to dreaming of killing someone. At 12, he even attempted to strangle a teacher. Classmates called him psycho, noting his violent outbursts. A teenage psychiatric admission later diagnosed him with autism and oppositional defiant disorder. As an adult, he tried and failed to join both the army and university. He drifted between jobs before landing a cleaning position